Do you under this?
Like I said, I was up to. Yeah.
First time there, so.
See, we just made a good comment like. Yeah. I got a question about that too. How you doing, Bill? I'm doing well. Doing well. There's, trying to make this a good meeting. Well, next one won't be where the day gone because I don't have a telephone that works halfway decent.
We can get you some computer.
Computer?
Yeah, in a hot spot, kind of a little hot spot. Right, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm not, I got all that stuff, but my wife.
My son,
I've tried almost every one, all of a sudden it's gone. I don't know what happened. Sometimes you can see. me,
Hi,
sometimes
how are you?
I know it's where I push the button.
Kindergarten, they can get all that stuff going.
oh, they can, that's right.
Yes.
Questions, just ask some kid.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm early, I think I'll go on and come in again.
I know, this one, I don't know what happened.
She beat you. She beat you.
Lois.
Lois is here for me?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She,
See what?
I gotta set my clock ahead.
I was here like 10 till.
She, you're not feeling well?
Not after that.
Yeah.
Got everything on top.
Yeah, all around it.
I leave the board.
But this is not good.
He has a, he comes to town, any issues like things like they have to have, he has to get permission, it's not going, oh. No, it's not right, it's not right. He goes, I mean, okay, so it is Indian code that is all we ever know. That he is.
Turn that a little bit. I don't want them to get my name wrong.
And what, and Ryan, well, Warren Wilson.
I told him, I'm wrong, open the walk, I won't, and then see.
Okay.
But he says, another thing, I said, I want to never be.
Yours looks the same, which way you're not.
And I said, no, what is it?
I hate feedback. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sounds so popular, the name, that's why they say
Take a double.
Yeah.
So it's chip.
I called him that.
But since his last week, I'm a Cub fan and a Bear fan.
Who could you believe?
Real bad.
Got beat bad. Don't make the playoffs. 3 weeks ago, they were up.
We'll see you this evening.
They don't watch professional basketball. Everybody just.
Yeah, I was an umpire.
I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, I was at National League Umpire School, graduated. Yeah, knew all them. Only one last night was, I know. A lot of them I knew, but they retired. This was 83.
Some of them that are out there now ought to retire.
Well, they're getting there, Ron. They really are getting there.
No time. Because of age.
Yeah. Oh, that's,
No, because it's eyesight.
no. No, no, no.
I think we're about ready to get
I
going.
don't think so. Listen.
Good evening, and welcome to the Grant County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for October 2nd, 2023. If you would, all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. If you would, take a minute to silence your cell phone. Could we have a roll call for attendance, please?
Atkins,
Here.
Powell,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Pearson.
Here.
Hartman.
Here. Okay. First thing is approval of minutes for September 11th, 2023.
They were very long, but I think they're okay. I didn't see nothing. Somebody else can find something, so I say we,
Big meeting.
yeah, it was very lengthy.
Yeah, we went over.
Yeah. So I say that's approved as stand.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a roll call, please.
Atkins.
Yes.
Powell.
Abstain.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is approval of our findings of fact for September 11th. Docket 05 SP-23.
We didn't give him no time to move in there.
No, we didn't set a time.
Cause I didn't see nobody out there today as I passed. So,
Do we have a motion to deal with these?
I'd like to make a motion that we
Approve?
approve.
Okay. We have a motion to approve by Mrs. Jones. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second by Mr. Johnson. Do we have a roll call, please?
Atkins.
Yes.
Powell.
Abstain.
Johnson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Motion passed. In old business, we have a continued public hearing. Docket 06 BZA V-23. JGB Real Estate LLC Whitney Pile. 1484 South First Street, Upland, Indiana. Okay, in a continued meeting, we will not try to rehash any previous testimony, but this would be a continuation of where we left off. And there was a motion to table it until this meeting, and there was a communication back from the town of Upland. And so we are free, I believe, to move forward on this. Does anyone from the board have any comment at this point on this before we go on?
From the town was
Yeah,
right away.
the town council basically affirmed that they had given the responsibility to Mr. Perez to approve their design standards for the town. And though I don't know all of what their design standards cover, as this has not really been our area before, but it did mention color scheme of structure. So
We also took a vote.
the full board took a vote at the town meeting. Okay. So though it's it's fine that they've approved that portion of it. Zoning is still up to this board. So. At this time,
My issue is, why was it not taken to the board before it came here?
why was it?
Yeah, why was it not?
Oh, was it not? You know, I actually suppose it could be done either way. Because if we say no, it's not going anywhere on their end. You know, they would not even see the design standards, I suppose, if we said it couldn't go forward.
I,
So I don't know if there's an absolute, is there an absolute protocol that you know of in state code? Or in our county area-wide zoning ordinance?
we have had several months this year talked about getting town approvals. And I was directed by this board, even though it is still within our area-wide zoning ordinance. Area-wide zoning ordinance says that before any final decision by the BZA that we will get town approval. I was told that no one, that I could read you the email from.
You can read it from me if you want, but I can summarize it. It's basically state code that no one is to influence the decision of this board. So that's why we don't take recommendations. It's fine to have a town look at something ahead of time, but this is zoning and that's our area.
And I would note, and again, not to cause a fight, because I see nothing wrong with notifying town boards so that they have knowledge of petitions. As the same applies to them, they must attend the hearing.
Yes, if they want to come to this hearing and be in opposition to it, they are perfectly welcome to do that. But of course, we all know that that's presented at the hearing, so we all hear the same thing as well.
Chip, with your knowledge of upland town, do you see a watershed issue if that structure is built there?
Well, if you recall, there was a question about the drainage catty corner from the property. He already has drainage problems. And Mr. Tittle spoke at the meeting. So he has questions about the drainage.
So in this design, is there a gutter? Is it top surface drain or is it underground drain from the gutters?
We have underground, the new plans have underground drains from the gutter all the way to the storm.
Mr. Harper.
Going to the city storm drain?
This is their new plans that actually had some of the questions you guys asked.
Okay,
Is there a perimeter?
well,
drain?
let's have you come to the stand here and introduce yourself. And we'll move into the public hearing at this time.
Hi, yeah, Phil Bowers again, and I have updated drawings that I can pass out. I believe I provided them to Ryan,
Yeah, so I was just asking the chairman if it was okay to.
but I've got physical copies. If you give that extra copy, you might need it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have enough. So, and this is the full set.
And I can explain the storm and tile system once everybody receives a site plan. I'm Jonathan Pruse, by the way.
This is a site plan. These are all site plans.
Yeah.
So here's more site plans if you.
On the north side of the property, that's where our downspouts are. And from headed east, you'll see a tile. And it goes all the way east to the end of the property. Then there's a diagonal shot down to the storm, which is located at the southeast corner of the property in front of the car that you see parked on First Street. There's a little circle there. That's our storm that's located on the property.
So is it in the perimeter of the foundation or just?
It's not a-
outlet for the eave?
This is all the downspouts coming off of the eave, or catching everything off of the roof. We do not have, there would be no need for a perimeter drain in this.
'Cause
Since
it's a
we,
slab.
it's a slab, correct?
So you've got downspouts coming from all corners of the structure?
Yeah, the downspout should be, I think there's 4 coming off of the building, catching that, which one? 2. There looks to be 4 coming down off of that. Off of the north end of the building, because it is a sloped roof, which slopes from the south to the north.
It's a shed style roof.
It is,
Okay.
but it's not visible. The slope of it, it's not gonna be visible because of the side skirts on top of the, I guess I'll be on,
Walls.
yeah.
Say it's a low pitch.
We don't have, it was in the last
Yeah, there's
packet.
parapet walls that, that extend up beyond the roof, system, so it looks nice.
So you're gonna hook up to the already existing drain, one drain.
The storm, correct. City storm.
You're saying that you think that can handle all that water coming off of a flat? It's flat, you've already taken up 50% or 40%. You're gonna do 50%, taking up all the land. Now you got 50% of the water going somewhere. You're saying you're gonna do that yourself.
Well, yes.
You're not having the city to do it.
Oh, no, they wouldn't mess with anything. The only thing they'd be responsible for would be the actual, the drain itself, is my understanding, the catch basin.
But there's 3 veins there across the street too. Off of,
Correct. There's another one if you look on the east side of First Street. There's another storm on the east side of First Street. But we're just tying into the one, which granted, I almost is probably 90% sure 90% of the properties are not directly taken straight to storm. Everything is graded to storm. We're taking ours directly to storm, which is I mean, it's an expense on our end rather than just letting the natural grade of the ground take it.
then we'd have a flood problem if you didn't do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we would still be okay with our grade. We would make sure our grade's okay because we don't want it like going on to a neighboring lot or coming back into our building. So grade would have to be good, but this is one way just to take that out of the question, is to take it directly to storm.
Now, you mentioned that this is not a entirely flat surface to start with.
Correct.
So that means that you're gonna have high on one side or someplace, you're gonna have
West side.
low on another
Correct.
in order to get that level. How are you gonna handle that?
Well, the grade of our slab is actually, I mean, you can tell
It steps down,
from the east to the,
yeah, it's essentially,
from
we
the
have
west
to
to the
pour
east.
4 separate slabs, so there's quite an expense for that.
so we are not bringing our grade up 3 feet where our,
Stepping the building down, and you can kind of see that on the elevation page, on the elevation drawing.
So that gets back to the 50% of water, you're going downhill with it. It's not gonna go to the drain. You still got to contend with the rainwater that goes on your right of way or where you're gonna park.
which is all sloped towards our,
I know where it's sloped to, yeah.
well, that's why it's all sloped to storm. It's a 3-foot elevation difference from the west side of the property to the east side down to the storm. So the high ends would be on the west side.
Yeah.
The sloped ends on the east side to the storm. So our drop is it's going in the right position, but we are still taking everything that's catching on the roof down to the storm in way of underground tile.
That's a 14, right? Tile, the outlet.
Yes.
You're referring to note 14?
Yeah, did we have the?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
new underground storm line from downspouts or existing storm inlet catch basins.
It's gonna be solid or perforated?
Yeah, I believe it's perforated.
Ought to be perforated.
Yeah.
And it will be surrounded by lime, I think, without, just something so all the groundwater can catch in there as well.
That's a good idea.
So,
So the sidewalks, how high the sidewalks gonna be? Off the right of way. If you get the right of way, you're gonna have to have a sidewalk. How high is that gonna be off the right of way?
I think it
The new walk is, I think it's
level with the,
level with the grade.
Okay, then you gotta worry about the water again. If you're not,
well, it's still sloped down. If it's level with the
I
grade,
understand that.
That's how it currently sits.
I understand that, but there's drain here, a drain here, and drain over here. And he's got a pipe that goes under the road to get rid of his water. So
Mhm.
we already got a problem here. So if you're gonna asphalt the parking,
Mhm.
got water.
And it will go to the storm, which would lead to the storm.
Okay. Still got 50% to get rid of.
Are you talking about the 50% of the building?
Yeah.
That's going to be caught by the downspouts in the
That's right.
tile.
And there's another 50% there. That's what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
If you're giving 50% of the water into that drain, you still got another 50% around the sidewalk, right away. That's what you got.
So what currently happens if we're not changing the grade with the way the water sets on anything that's not, since there's not a building there now? Are you familiar with how it drains now?
I've been on it a couple times,
Okay.
been right there. And that's why I say there's more drains than just the tube.
Correct.
There's
It's,
a pipe, and you know about his pipe, Tuttle's pipe, just to get rid of the water. So
And he-
they've had problems before.
and I believe he would be on the southeast corner of that intersection.
Southeast. And you got a big tile about that big trying to get rid of his water, but it all comes down to him. So we just gotta make sure we don't put water on him. That's all I'm after.
Well, and I think we have, I mean, honestly, I think we have done everything we can in this drawing to contain that water and take it to one spot as much as we can, at least on the roof.
Now, with connecting to their stormwater, you're also gonna have to go through upland utilities, correct? Or your connection.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So this is gonna be something
What was that, Ryan?
for them to connect directly to the stormwater. They'll have to go through upland utility.
Yeah.
To do so, so.
Mhm.
this
That's
isn't
why I
something
asked if
that's
it was gonna pay for it. That's why I asked.
I mean, it's gonna be our expense.
Yeah.
Anytime you tap in.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pay a tapping fee onto the catch basin. And then we also, one of the other things I'd like to talk about was the trash, which was a concern last time. We did show a dedicated spot for trash on the west side of this property.
And the northwest side of the lot, we've got, fences. We'll put in fences to contain the individual trash barrels, but there will be no dumpster. No space for a dumpster, no need for a dumpster.
Can the trash truck get down that alley?
I think it gets down that alley now.
Okay.
To me, that's a lot of roof space for no bigger than the lot is. You're talking about 6,300 plus feet that you're eating up, most of it was roof. Correct?
I mean, I suppose, but again, we've got downspouts going straight to the
Storms.
storm.
We don't have an overhang either, so.
In your housing contract, is there anything in regard to parking? I know parking was the other concern that was mentioned.
We just, like on our current properties that are similar to this, we have signs dedicated to the units themselves outside of each parking spot. So the tenant knows which spot is dedicated to them, if that makes sense. And that's just one way, I mean, it's just an easier way from a management standpoint to keep people in their spots. And then this new site plan shows us blacktopping now the First Street as well, which is currently just limestone between the sidewalk and First. And then it also has us putting in curbs as well.
You're putting in curves for the
That-
sidewalk,
That's what, yeah, that's what the drawing shows here.
so you have to raise the sidewalk a little bit then. You're gonna put curbs in.
Well, it could slope from where the blacktop is to the sidewalk. I mean, whatever needs to be done there. I mean,
That's why I asked how high you're gonna put the sidewalk. If you go to the other side, to the other dormitory, that thing is about 9 inches high, most of it. And then they asphalted it. So that's why I was asking how high you're gonna go with the sidewalk.
I mean, if we do not have to put the curbs in, we won't. I mean, we want it to drain well too, because we don't want our people who are coming, our guests that are coming, parking in a puddle either. So, I mean, for us, containing the water coming off of the building is just as important, I feel like, for us as it is for all the neighbors as well.
You do have the grade for that. Yeah, you're gonna get rid of it one way or the other,
Mm-hmm,
either through the pipes or down
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
on the asphalt. This is a different look of the building. You. The top of it's all the same size now. It's not individuals. Did you have the last,
No, this is the same, yeah.
well, it's a little different.
Slightly staggered.
Yeah, it's a little.
It was on the previous one as well.
I
Right.
think they were looking at probably.
No, that was
all of
staggered
them,
too.
even on
It was
the-
staggered on the previous one.
It's staggered on
It's
this one.
staggered a little bit. On
Yeah, this one just has more with the perimeter drains, or I mean, the tiles. You can see on the north side, that kind of makes it look like it's all the same, but it is staggered still.
So the neighbor to the north has a large tree with leaves.
Yeah.
How large are your gutters and downspouts planned to be?
I think they're 6 inches. 6 inch.
6 inches. Okay. You may have over time some clogging up of
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
those, and that'll require some type of maintenance.
yeah.
Oh, we
maintenance all of our property.
yeah, they're,
We, on a daily basis.
Okay.
So is it my understanding that the allowed setback is 15 and what we're seeking to approve here is 10?
10.
Which would be 5 less than okay.
That's to the alleyway. That's the west to the alleyway.
Okay. So they've got the 15 to First Street.
Right.
Okay.
What's the setback on the backside?
10.
Looks like it says
It
8.
says 8.
That's the side, yeah, that's 8.
Is it supposed to be 10?
It's supposed to be 5.
Or, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
5.
5.
That's, yeah, so we're 3 feet within where we need to be.
Is the setback supposed to be 15?
On
To
this,
the, to the back now, from it. It is 5.
The setback from to the next yard is only 5?
Mhm.
Your side setbacks are 10% of your frontage and rear is 5.
Okay.
Are you agreeing with that, Brenda?
Because you're going by, an existing,
You explain it then.
I don't have the requirements.
I think the
Setbacks are 10%.
The
Sure.
8 foot is within the percentage allowance.
These are the same.
15, and now
This
our
is-
rate is
This would be your rear,
right here. No, no.
because this is more narrow.
It's supposed to be more than that.
Correct.
So this is supposed to be 5?
Existing.
No, it's not supposed to be 5.
That's what, that's
If your
supposed to be
zoning
15.
requirements tell you, because this is R4 zoning, it's not 5.
That's where they got your.
Yeah, this is supposed to be
Yeah.
15, but we're at 10. This was supposed to be 5, but we have 8, so we have more than what was allowed. The position of this building, the lot, the side lot of the lot is actually the back of our building. Because our entrance is gonna be on Joyce Avenue instead of First Street.
Yes.
This is why I've got her.
Are we?
So this is why we've got her. She's my good.
You're the,
That's why she.
The head guy here.
So are we okay with that 8 feet?
That fence is not yours, right? The fence to the back.
Correct.
That is not yours. That's
That's
2
right.
feet on your guys's.
I haven't measured it.
I think it was right at 3 feet when I measured it.
Okay.
And I don't understand how that fence got there.
Well, maybe it is ours. I don't know.
No, I think it's the other houses. It's got the fence there. So you guys are, if you're going with the post, with the survey's post,
Mhm.
you got 3 feet there. That's not yours, but you're up against the fence too.
Yeah.
I don't know who did that one.
You think that fence was part of the property when that house was torn down on that lot, or
No, it's been
you
up there.
think it's that neighbor to the north? It's his fence?
Yeah.
He put it 2 feet on the other lot?
Well, I think it's on his lot though. Because you can tell by the survey stake. Survey stake has got a fence here and there's 3 feet in between that. All the way down. And then if you get down to the end, it comes out and at an L and then you can, and it comes right along with that survey stake.
I didn't pay a lot of attention to that.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, interesting.
I don't know.
So are we in agreement with the property lines? Please?
With this is, it's okay.
Yeah.
With
Okay.
this is okay, but I'm telling you right now, there's a fence right there that you don't have 3 feet. You have 3 feet to go that way.
Yeah, but I don't know. So that fence must not, I mean, that doesn't define the property line.
Well, survey stakes do though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
And that's what I'm saying, it's straight.
Straight.
So if the fence is on our side of the survey stakes, then we'll just get rid
It's
of
on
it.
the other side.
Okay. Well, then I guess he would have to move that fence because wouldn't that fence have to be within?
Well,
And it's
setback.
technically on his property unless it's been there for,
yeah, I think it'd been there a long, long.
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah, a long time. I just know there's 3 feet in there that, I never understood what it was, but when you go down to the west end of it,
Mhm.
it comes out in an L and then it's straight with your stakes.
Okay.
So just want you to know that you don't probably own that.
I should note that he has, that neighbor's withdrawn his objection to this. I don't know if he emailed you formally, but he said he would.
Did not receive, did we receive it in our fan email?
Okay, I think we're through with questions for y'all. You could be seated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this petition? Now would be the time. Okay. At this time, if there's anyone here opposed to this petition, now would be the time to come to the podium. Okay. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. At this time, it is time for board discussion and any questions. They can be directed back to the petitioner or just amongst ourselves.
Can we downsize?
With the cost of construction, we cannot fit, we gotta have 4 units for this to make sense. With 3 units, not gonna cash flow for us. And,
I was thinking 2 units.
oh, well, it would definitely wouldn't work for 2 units, unfortunately.
Because that gives us more a grass area. But you're eating up a lot of the lot with the roof space. And I know that 14's been overwhelmed before. The outlet.
Compared to the size of the building, it's not a very large lot.
148 feet, I think.
132 by 48.
I thought it was 148.
No, lots of fun too.
It's 48 by 132.
Okay, well, I got the wrong 48 then. I do have questions about the drawing, knowing how the parking goes over there. I know you've got 4.5 parking lots and you got one on First Street, but there'll be 2 cars there, right to the front.
Should be 2.5 on First.
Well, 2.5, you'll have 3 then. That's the way it happens over at Taylor. It happens that there'll be 3 people there and you won't be able to see around the corner. So I'd like to have an assurance how we're gonna solve that for the people that actually come there. How can we do that?
Again, I can say that, I mean, we can, yeah, there's 2 spots there. We have 2 spots on First Street.
Which that was the original.
Yeah, that's how it's set up now.
That's where they had always parked before, and even out to the north, that's where they parked.
So you're saying you're not gonna worry about this being the ones that live in there on First Street? That's what you're saying, because they will park there. They will park there.
Oh, you mean other students or?
Yeah, other people.
I mean, we could put us, I mean, we will have to deal with that.
I mean, that's the assurance I want,
What?
that you don't park right here on the, right here at the stop sign. You're way up here.
Well, yeah,
You'll put 3 cars in there.
We can, I mean, our signage can say that, because we have to put signs out on this, and if it needs to, I mean, if we need to specify that from here to corner, do not park, I mean, but that's an easy fix for us. If that's, if you guys require that, that's fine.
Yeah, we can manage that.
When we looked at a situation similar to this, I believe it was in Fairmount, he wanted to do 4 units on a small area. And we wanted off-site parking and we had him scale it down to 2 units to accomplish the parking on the actual property and not on the street. He wanted to park cars on the street. Rather similar to this. And it was also it was a change for a neighborhood that was mainly single family dwellings. this has been single family dwellings, but it's now got a couple apartments in it at least that I noticed when I drove around. So what makes this more difficult to cash flow? Is it the high value of the lot or what?
It's the type of construction we do, everything. I would have hoped to, I've seen some of you guys at our grand opening downtown, last Monday. But perhaps, could make it, but you see that everything we do is high end, we're not gonna put vinyl. I've seen the other apartments that are there. I see a lot of vinyl siding, vinyl windows, and doors. We're not doing that. Every door we've got is steel or hard solid wood. Every window is wood or aluminum. Our siding is brick and or hardy board. Our roof is metal standing seam roof. But this particular design has a parapet walls. Our awnings are, I think it's Apex metal facade. And our interiors are extremely high end with our down to floor tile and our furniture, our countertops and cabinets, our vanities, mirrors, ceiling height. We're doing 10-foot ceiling heights. I mean, we go high end. I mean, and these are individual townhomes and they're going to be nice and fully furnished.
And I should say, we have 3 one-bedrooms downtown. We just had our grand opening last week and we currently have 2 out of the 3 rented, marketing done.
Like to get our construction costs down to cash flow with 2 or 3 units, we have to switch to cheaper materials. I don't think you'd want to see that in your neighborhoods. I mean, we're trying to, we probably wouldn't, frankly. We don't want to be the, because I know there's the multifamily guys. We're not multifamily people. And we're not, I guess, housing developers. We're doing something different and we're trying to raise the bar. And I feel like we got a bad rep from previous developers who don't take care of their properties, and that's just not us. I mean, we're a general contractor too, right? So we do commercial construction all over. We've got crews, we've got subcontractors, and we keep our guys busy maintaining these properties.
In a factory to build our own furniture as well.
But the real difference we'd be talking about would be an additional lot for 2 more units. So it's the additional lot that throws the cost over, you're saying?
What are you referring to?
Well, you've got 4 units on one lot. If you had 2 units on this lot and 2 units on another lot, the difference is an additional lot and the work that requires.
Building
The material.
the materials. Building 2 separate structures just costs more money. If I can fit 4 different townhomes on
Yeah.
one lot, then absolutely that will make this work with high-end materials. It won't.
Yeah, I understand a little bit of that, but it's one additional wall, right? And you're building it in 2 separate places, 2 units each.
And you gotta be building them at the same time. You gotta be pouring concrete at the same time. You gotta be building walls at the same time.
There's, some economy of scale,
And with construction at $250 a square foot for ground up, we have to squeeze we have to keep them, each unit small. And we've got to try to fit as many on a lot as possible, but we want them to be nice. We don't want them too cramped or small. It'll be like a hotel suite essentially.
But this lot, the board seems to feel is too small. And doesn't quite fit in this neighborhood. So we're trying to get you to think about how else you could do this.
I don't know. The fact that it is a small lot and actually forced us to get creative with how small these places could be.
Yeah.
And keep it in mind, I think blossomed this idea of the small footprint. And I say small, I know it takes up a big chunk of the lot, but the small footprint is what makes this cash flow, like price per square foot is what we're looking at for construction. And the small lot forced us to get creative in how we could make this property work.
And we're also helping out with the demand too, with the housing shortage in Upland.
And everywhere in Grant County, we're in other counties too, frankly. There's a significant housing shortage.
Being at the council meeting in Upland, you had made the reference of Taylor students moving there.
That was discussed.
Is that correct?
Well, I think the question was asked if we would rent to Taylor students, and we kind of had the same reply there as we did here.
So if you put students,
Okay.
am I safe now?
Yeah.
I think I know what, so what was said was, so each of these townhomes is designed to sleep two adults. And the question at the Upland Council was, well, then can you rent to two students? And no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna rent one unit to two separate people. I can't stop somebody from a single student from bringing in somebody, but we're gonna have king size beds in each of these, and we're making the beds, so we're not doing double beds or anything like that.
They're not allowed to move the furniture out if they want and put their own in or put a bunk in.
Yeah, none of that. It's gonna be furnished, the furniture specifically designed for these places that we don't.
Well, if that happens, you're doubling up the parking.
But it's not happen. We're not gonna rent.
It would be a violation to choose that class.
Yeah. And again, I know I've said it, but our target is not students, and our target is the traveling professionals, because they take care of the places, they rarely use the places, and they pay a premium.
But even with that, we still can't discriminate.
Yeah, we can't say no students. But I don't think they would work. They're gonna want,
Unless they're a single student.
yeah, but again, if it would cause problems, we quickly get them out of there. We don't want students crashing our places. Because they're nice, and the furniture we're putting in there is expensive.
Okay, so, Ryan, help me here. With the exception of this alley, instead of a 10 foot, it's a 5 foot. This structure would fit on this lot based on our zoning laws.
Yes. And we keep getting into drainage. I would, Indiana code would call for a minimum runoff of 5 foot. You're talking going from 40% lot coverage to 50% coverage with better drainage than it would have if it was only at 40%. So I guess I'm confused if we're gonna take half of the lot, drain it directly to the storm, that's gonna stop the grading. I'd almost say your drainage is better than if you
Well,
were,
the outlet can only handle so much.
right.
And
When you don't consider Mother Nature's
Yes.
ability to drain is when you're speculating on how it's really gonna go.
Yeah,
But nothing's ran directly there now, right? It's all through grading.
yeah. And there's less soil to take up water when it's covered by roof. There's less green space there. So the drainage can't be better
Good guarantee.
because it's going to work its way into the storm sewers one way or another.
Not going into the sewer. This is not hooking up to the sewer.
Storm drain. Well, okay, I
just
didn't
wanna make
use the
sure.
right word.
I'm sure we were talking.
Storm, yeah, not sanitary sewer, but yes.
I really missed it. But
Okay. So anyway, do we have any other questions? Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
I think it's just a big headache for that small lot.
Well, I'll make the motion, we downsize it. I don't think that lot's big enough to handle that much roof space. That's my motion.
Could you be specific
The 2 units.
to 2 units? We have a motion to 2 units. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. We have a roll call, please. Well, wait a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Atkins,
No.
Howe,
Abstain.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yeah, yes.
Long,
Yes.
Pearson,
No.
Three to two.
3-2.
It requires 4 votes to pass. Well, it actually requires 4 votes to affirm the motion. So basically, it has died without passing a motion. At this point, is there, we had a negative motion. If anyone wants to make a positive motion, we could take a vote on that.
And what's a positive?
That would be approving their plan. We had a motion to downsize on 2 units to 2 units, and that motion did not pass. I'm just saying, if you wanted to make a positive motion or rephrase a different motion, we would do that. No, if there is no other motion, then we're at a point where it does not pass.
Considering that we're only talking about a 5-foot difference here, correct? Based on what our typical zoning ordinance would be, I would make the motion that we approve. I think I don't know whether my role here is right or not, but I think the discussion here has been great because I think we do have a responsibility to look at how this might impact, the environment, the people around and so forth. And I think we've had great discussion for that. It makes me wonder whether our setbacks are great enough for this kind of a structure. I appreciate these gentlemen's efforts to, create better housing for what we're anticipating a need in a land. I wish it was just 3 units. I think that'd make everybody happy. Yeah, I do. But considering we're only talking about 5 feet, I'll make the motion that we pass it as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. We have a motion from Mr. Adkins and a second from Mr. Pearson. Can we have any further discussion by the board? Can we have a roll call, please?
Atkins,
Yes.
Howe,
I was not there, so I have to abstain.
Correct.
Johnson,
No.
Jones,
No.
Long,
No.
Pearson,
Yes.
We have the same outcome, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. Unless there is any other new proposal. This will not pass. Okay. Now, let's see. I think there's no point to continue at this point, so we'll close this. Okay. At this point, we'll move on to reports, resolutions, communications, and general discussion, which we have in here. Review of our rules of procedure, final draft. Now, the handout you were given is not what you voted on this year. This is previous year work that was never completed and never published. And when the committee began work, they took the published rules of procedure. They were still in effect and they were on the website. And so they were printed and the committee did the work from there, at which time we worked our way through page by page from the first page to the last, the 14th page, and approved every change and approved every page. And that is what we submitted. Now, there were some rules of procedure that we had voted on as this board. But like I said, the work was not finished and it was not adopted and you did not vote on it.
Yes,
So,
they did. Yeah.
well, you did not
I
vote
got
on
3 months worth of
a
minutes.
completion of it. We did not complete it. It was never published. It was never given to this board in a completed fashion. And it was not brought up this year when we worked through it beginning in March. So anyway, what I want you to do is study this. Study what has been given you here. You've seen this a couple of years ago. And what we passed in the previous meeting, we can still keep. They are our rules. It's our decision. And we passed it in its entirety. And we never talked about this. Now study this, if you will, over the next month. And if you want to bring any of this in, I suggest we talk about it at the next meeting and try and conclude our work at that time. So we can get it published and the final draft created. Does anyone else have any questions or discussion of this?
So this is the final draft of all the rules and procedures that we went over.
No, this is the one from a couple of years ago that we were looking at, but we did not complete it. We turned it over to the Rules Committee. And the Rules Committee went through it page by page, made recommendations. We went through them page by page in a few meetings and we adopted it. Okay, so that was officially completed this year. Now, these prior year changes, they would be overwritten by what we did this year. But there may be some things in here that you might want to make a motion to amend, because on page 14, there's a paragraph about how you amend the rules. And it can be done at any meeting. And it would be nice if we, as we needed a rule change, we made it and finished it right then as we go along. This was quite a project to do a rewrite of the entire rules at one time. And if you recall, when we were going through this before, it got quite confusing. with multiple drafts being looked at, and we weren't even on the same page some of the time.
So we have a copy of the one that we approved page by page, correct?
That copy is available.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
It's in your packet at the tab.
Yeah.
This,
In the packet we handed out, you have a tab right there.
I know we approved that. I know it's in my other packet somewhere. Oh, okay. All right.
You got it.
So this is the one we approved page by page, starting with the tab, the blue tab, right? And we are to look at the pages in front of that to see if we want to integrate some of that into what's blue tabbed.
Everything that is highlighted is what we went
There it
through
is.
up to 6.3. We had 3 meetings in which we had about half of the rules done. And then in April 2022, we took a vote to put it to committee to finish
Uh-huh.
the rules. So what you have is a master copy that after each meeting I updated, each meeting and handed out with the update. Then we went a year with no progress until March of 2023, which is, and then when we got the rest of them. So everything in yellow, again, in the front of it, everything in yellow has been voted on and pretty much integrated with everything you guys did too. So for everything that we did the second time through, that got added to the front too.
It did not get added to the front.
What did
We
you
started
just-
with
you
the
can
original
tell-
published rules and began on page 1. And we approved every
Every
page,
page.
page by page, rule by rule.
Which is what we did.
And none of
today.
the other stuff from prior years was in there.
Mr. Litchfield, when we take public votes in a meeting, can those be thrown out without repeal?
I don't know. I think if I understand the issue correctly. To answer your question, no, they can't. But what I think Ed is saying is he wants the whole document reviewed and voted on as a whole document, if I understand you correctly. And
Yes,
that's fine. That's
Right.
certainly within their purview.
Right.
I mean, they have the right to do that. It's their rules. They can create their rules as they see fit, as long as they don't go against state code.
So what was your question, Ryan?
That we went through and took a vote on all of these through the 3 meetings. Can we just take, I mean, this is all you guys voted to put all this in there. This isn't me adding stuff. This is what you voted to put in. Can we redo the rules and take all of that it was motioned and voted on and just throw it over here to the side and start over?
well, now wait a minute. Everything in the rules that was published was voted on at one point in time. And now we went with changes that we went through as a committee and developed this year, and we voted on them page by page. So it's not like you would say, oh, at some point in time, these are still in effect. We started anew on page 1, and we went through it page by page and made changes. So anything that was before that was being edited or had the possibility to be edited. And the fact that we did all that work and voted on each page without discussing prior changes should stand as the newest work.
So all the other motions and votes done by this board
None,
are just,
well, none made in 5 years ago were carried forward as a must-have, never change. Things were changed this year. Page by page.
that's what
Prior
we did
years
too.
don't necessarily
Okay. All right.
carry forward when you change things.
As long as the
You
BZA
changed
is okay with it, that's, I mean, it's not for you or me to okay.
It's definitely
They
not
voted
for
on-
you
they voted
to
on it.
okay. It's for the board. These are the
Exactly.
board's rules. So it would be up to the board if they want to revisit those past recommendations and
That's my point.
bring any of them in. Or if they want to conclude with the work we did this year.
So
I
we're
make a
gonna look at,
suggestion.
Yes,
I would really think after studying this from all angles, I really think you need to have a set of rules voted on in its entirety and signed by, in this case, the chairman, which would be, and I'm not sure that's happened yet. Because otherwise,
that has not happened yet.
Other,
That's right.
otherwise, you would just be, you have rules which are in place, which you're following. And if you vote on amendments to those rules and it passes and is an amendment to the rules, so be it. But for me, if I'm gonna go to court and argue one way or the other, I think we need to have a set of rules approved in its entirety and signed off on properly. That's what I think needs to happen. I don't know if that benefits anyone, but I know legally, that's what I would do.
We do have existing rules of procedure.
And those rules are in place until these rules are changed.
Right.
Yes. And they're published on our website, and that's what the committee took up and went through page by page, made changes, brought them to this board, went through them page by page. They voted on each rule and each page in its entirety. And it was not until we asked for the final draft to be typed up that old rules popped up again.
Because I had a master form that was running.
That was not what was given to you to type up.
It was what was.
What was given you was what we passed this year.
Everything
And
in
that
here,
was the
you guys
latest
okay. Everything in
information.
here, you guys okay. Period.
At one point in time, everything in there has been okayed.
Right.
That doesn't mean it wasn't changed this year. It was changed this year, and it was voted on by page.
And I added all those changes. You can go, I went paragraph by paragraph, front to back. Everything you wanted in there is in there.
Like I said, we're at a point of finishing this up and having additional discussion. If you guys want to, it was my recommendation. If you want to add anything further,
my understanding when we were approving it page by page was that was gonna be the document. That's what we were.
I thought that's what we were all saying, and this is new. Now that we got a final copy that did not match what we did.
Well, your secretary had a master copy. That was running with all of your votes. And that's what you have here.
Well, when we started over on page one and went through it page by page, we didn't hear about any other things except what we were voting on.
You
By
received
page.
a master copy.
By page, we were voting on it
Okay, I'm done.
this year.
So everything that we voted on in here, are you saying there's additional?
Everything in yellow is what you voted on before, but
Right.
this time.
Right. So
Is the blue tab what we voted on?
we voted on this to the blue tags, but it says, but.
Yes, the blue tab begins where we voted.
Okay, so that is the document that we went page by page and voted on as we voted on, correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that is the one.
So
It's the 14 pages.
why isn't it just signed and becomes the document? If we,
Yeah,
Well, we have to get the final typed copy without all the deletes and add-ins,
oh, the yellow,
Or removes.
yeah, or removes.
okay. I thought that's what we were doing, I'm sorry.
No.
too.
That's what we still need to do.
So
Mr. Glickfield, would that be what we need to do?
I mean,
get all get the removes out
yeah.
and just put the official document without the removes in. Okay.
Yep.
That was my question. If that's what you want to do, fine. Do we need to repeal all the others? That
No,
was my question.
This will replace it.
Yeah.
But for everything that they voted on before, doesn't have to be repealed.
Everything that they voted.
Everything in yellow is what they voted on 2021, 2022.
Are you talking about on the first set of rules or the second set of?
First year. All this was voted.
So you're saying everything in yellow has been voted on in the individual meetings? That's what your position is?
It's
They're
been
saying-
motioned, seconded, and voted on.
But what I'm hearing the board say is the blue copy is what they actually voted on
This year,
This year.
this year.
from start to finish.
To me, it just seems like a motion that, well, that whatever you're voting, whichever set of rules you're voting on, these are our new rules, these shall replace any and all other rules, solve the problem.
I make that motion that whatever we voted on this year becomes our new rules of procedure.
We have a motion from Mr. Atkins. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Mr. Howe. Would you give us a roll call, please?
Question?
Yes.
We're voting on the blue tab now.
Yeah,
That's
the
what
ones
we're
we
voting
voted
on.
on this year.
We're not worried about
What about,
anything in yellow.
This replaces anything before it.
But
Voting on what we approved this year, page by page,
what about the,
And that's
replacing it.
okay,
This is
Yeah.
replacing that.
so this has everything that, we got consolidated, okay?
But you'll still have to sign the final.
Yeah, when the final copy is typed.
So we're voting for blue tab, final view.
Yes.
What's,
fact-
what's removal? in-
Mr. Atkins doesn't mind. It would be helpful if you would add to the motion, authorize the president to sign.
I authorize the president to sign.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, would you give us a roll call?
Atkins,
Yes.
Howe,
Yes, the first time I get to say anything.
Glad you
Johnson,
came.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes,
Long,
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
what's the removal? It's.
That's all going to become black and that's.
At this time, we have gone beyond the 7 o'clock stop. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
You got it from me.
We have a motion from Mr. Johnson and Howe. Mr. Howe gives us a second. All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No change, making sure that. Change what we did.
We voted on is our new rules, the student ed signs it, and Ryan gets it all in black.
Hey, that's good to meet. Nice to meet you too. Hey,
Yes.
I was listening to you guys discuss.
It is. Yeah, I mean, that's what we was about.
Turn me around. That's all. Thank you.
I'm actually glad that I got it right. I didn't pay attention now.
Okay.
No, which is.
Did I owe you a pencil or anything? I got.
We're good.
Okay.
I got it. We're good.
I got all my pencil. Yeah.
You guys had less fun this time.
It seemed like it. It seemed like it hadn't been any fun yet.
I'm more better.
Just said, we get close sometimes. I didn't, the idea of them put that on that lot being so small, I would have been okay, but they did, a lot was bigger. But when you start that, you start opening up a can of worms.
No,
We had that for
I
family.
agree. I knew you guys were.
Well, you know, I was like, no, like, give me a place to say this. We may have assigned it, but it's a nice, what they're thinking, but they need a bigger place. You know.
I didn't like it. They could build a suit. They're constructing.
And I told that.
Thank you.
materials are gonna go to the past.
These dogs might.
Go down there.
He likes to go.
Go ahead. I want to find that. Good kind of.
Where you going? I'm calling you guys. Place every stuff.
That goes down there. Little sucker there, so I go ahead.
Nice.
I don't know about this.
So.
Hicks is not. Todd's not. Evers. Tyson.
Well, you know. Exactly. Yeah, he's trying to. It don't matter.
Speed up reading. Hey. As long as I don't knock anybody out, that's all I'm going for.
Well, I appreciate you. Like this.
There we go.
I haven't much enjoyed it being knocked out before. No, that's no fun at all.
Marines come out for
No,
help.
I can remember several times almost. You know,
So why Perez leaves and stuff.
it's a great sidewalk. It's.
Really. And you will go to that.